Good morning, class. I am Bernalyn BUHIAN, but you call me Teacher Bern. So, this morning I would like to tackle about a tiles layout. So, this is our title. So, when we say tiles, we will know about that one after our discussion. But first, we should know what are the learning objectives of this topic. So the learning objectives of this topic, at the end of the lesson, your students will be able to, number 1, identify the principles of tile layout. Second, demonstrate the tiles layout procedures. Third, value the importance of procedure of tile layout, including centering, creating patterns, and minimizing cuts. So, as you all know, tiles layout is very essential nowadays because we are living 21st century and there's so many videos that comes from the online that we can gather of all the videos, and we can check it today to the technology by the use of the technology. And now, let's first identify what is the tiles layout. So when we say tiles layout, it refers to the strategic arrangement of individual tiles on a floor or wall. So according in this text here, the tiles layout, it is using for the floor and walls in every unit or in the house and etc. So which can significantly impact the visual perception and functionality of a space. It involves understanding the unique characteristics of the room, such as dimensions, lighting, and substrate levelness to make informed decision on the pattern. So later on, we will know the patterns of every tiles and every design. What is it? The examples of designs of these tiles. So now let's identify the principles of tiles layout. So the first one in tiles layout class, the first one we need to know the center the design. So, okay teacher, what is the center design? So when we say the center design, it is start laying tiles from the center of the room, not from the corner. So as you all know, it's center. So it should be centered. When you laying the tiles, so you need to check first that if your tile that you settle is it the center. Alright, so next it is the measure the center. So you need to measure the midpoint of each wall. Snap a chalk line from the midpoint or opposite walls to find the center of the room. So class, so measure the center. So first we need to check if our tiles is already centered, and the second is we need to measure. Alright, so are you okay class? So the third one, dry lay. So dry lay, it is applying adhesive. So adhesive, it's very effective because lay out the tiles dry from the center to visualize the pattern and make any necessary adjustments. So through adhesive you can adjust, no? So the fourth one, minimize cuts. So the layout looks better the fewer cuts. So here in tile setting, we need to minimize the cuts in order for the perfect tiles layout for your tiles in the floors and in the walls as well. And number 5, balance the cuts. So after you minimizing the cuts, you need to balance the cuts in order for you to have the perfect results. You need to ensure that any cut tiles at the edges of the room are similar size. So you need to avoid using very small tile silvers against the wall as they can look messy. So you need to avoid that one, because if you will not avoid, so if the people they will see your output or the result of your tile setting, so usually it is so messy and it's not giving, it's not effective for your tile setting. And the last one, adjust. So if your dry lay reveals small cuts, slightly adjust the center line to allow the larger, more balanced tiles at the edges. So, okay, again, so we have the principles. Center the design. The second, measure the center. Dry lay. Minimize and balance the cuts and adjust. Alright. So next, let's move on to the patterns and spacing. So, like what I said earlier, so in tile setting, we should know what the patterns and spacing as well. So here, patterns, you have options like a grid, straight lines, diagonal, herringbone. Make sure the pattern is appropriate from the room size. So we should know what is the proper size that we need to apply in our room or in our yeah. So next is spacer. So spacers is the use tile spacers to ensure uniform spacing between tiles. These gaps will be filled with growth later. So spacers, so we need to ensure that it uniforms all the space between tiles, because through that one, if we will be able to know the patterns and spacing as well, so probably the results of our tiles is very perfect. So that's all. And then now let's proceed to how to measure. So this and how to measure, my partner in this report is Miss Egonia will tackle of this, how to measure. So I pass the video to Miss Egonia. Thank you so much, sir.
So hello, my name is Rojomi Egonia. I will be continuing the report from Miss BUHIAN. So let's proceed to how to measure. First is get the area's dimension. To measure the width and length, use a tape measure to get the width and length of the room or wall you are tiling. To calculate the square footage, you multiply the width by the length to get the total square footage. Example given are 10 foot times 12 foot is equal to 120 square foot. To get the tiles dimensions, you must measure the individual tiles. For example, if the tiles are 12 times 12 inches, each tile is 1 square foot. Next, to calculate the quantity, you must divide the total area by the square footage of one tile. For example, is 120 square foot divide 1 square foot is equal to 120 tiles. For buy extra, add 10% to 15% extra to the total tile count to account for cuts and potential errors. This is especially important for complex pattern. Then I will show you the videos how to measure. The tiles.
Home improvement projects, knowing how to calculate square footage is an important skill. From paint to landscaping, square footage is a necessary measurement when it comes to calculating the right quantity of materials for your project. Here's what you'll need. The first step is to measure the dimensions of the area you are considering. The two dimensions to measure are length and width of the surface you need to calculate. To find the length, locate the longest side of the area. Place the hook slot of the tape measure at one end and extend to the other end. Then record the measurement. To find the width, locate the shortest side of the area and repeat the measurement process. In order to calculate square feet, multiply the length of the space in feet by the width of the space in feet. This gives you the area, which is expressed in square feet. For example, if you are buying carpet for a room that is 12 feet long and 10 feet wide, the square footage of that area would equal 120 square feet. If you're dealing with an oddly shaped room, the formula will change slightly. For example, assume you are trying to buy flooring for an L-shaped space. The shape is formed by one square and one rectangle area. Find the length and width of each section, then calculate the square footage of each. Next, add the two values together to get the total square footage you'll need. Once you've figured out the total square footage of the area, order 5 to 10% more material than you have calculated, just in case mistakes happen. This way, you'll be able to ensure you're covered until your project is complete. Good luck, and thanks for shopping at the Home Depot.
Okay, we all know how to measure the tiling. So next, how to cut tiles. There are 3 types of how to cut tiles. First is the manual tile cutter, suitable for standard ceramic and some porcelain tiles. Score. Place the tile in the cutter using the scoring wheel. Push the handle forward along the entire cut line. To snap the score, center the breaker foot over the tile and apply pressure to snap the tile cleanly along the score line. So I will show you the videos how to manual tile cutter.
Hi everybody, I'm Lee of CJ Drill, and today I'm going to show you how to use one of these. But what is it? It's a manual tile cutter. Now the great thing about a manual tile cutter is it's very convenient for cutting straight lines. It's also inexpensive when you compare it to, well, the cost of a wet saw. Now I want to show you the different components on a tile cutter. It's very simplistic. Basically, you have a handle, and this handle allows you to apply pressure to the tile, and it also allows you to guide the cutter along these 2 rails. Okay, come on in close because I want to show you the tungsten. There's a tungsten carbide wheel here. And if I move it, maybe you can see it. And that wheel, this wheel, is what actually scores the surface of the tile and helps you or allows you to make the cut. Okay, so what I have here is I have a tile that's approximately 5 inches by 5 inches. And it's a 1/4 of an inch in thickness. Now, I've already marked where I want to cut my tile. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it in the tile cutter. I'm going to rest the tile up against this fence here. So that's what it's going to hold it in place. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to line up this mark, because that's where I want to cut the tile, with the wheel. So I'm going to put the wheel in place. Okay. So I've got my wheel in place. I want to rest it right on the edge there. Okay, so now what you want to do is you want to slowly slide the manual tile cutter forward. And you want to apply slight pressure on the handle as you slide forward. You just want to score it is what you want to do. So you rest that wheel on the edge and then push forward. And it's scored. Now what I want to do is, you don't want to go back over it. You just have to do it once. That's all it takes. And now comes time to snap it. This little toggle here is going to apply equal pressure to the surface of the tile. It's going to allow you to snap it. So I'm going to pull it back just slightly, and this toggle is going to rest on the surface of the tile. Now I'm going to take this handle here, and I'm just going to push down firmly. And what we have is a nice, clean cut. Now, I will say this. In the instance that you don't get a nice, clean cut like I have here, you're going to want to take a tile stone and smooth it out. Now I gotta tell you, there's some drawbacks to using a manual tile cutter, and that is you can't cut stone, you can't do combination cuts, and you can't do tiny cuts. You're gonna need a wet saw for that. But if all you need to make are a series of straight cuts on a ceramic tile, well, you can't beat a manual tile cutter for it. This is Leah saying you can do this. See you next time.
So we can see the manual tile cutter. So let's proceed to with saw cut, used for thicker porcelain, natural stone, and more complex cut. To cut, turn the saw and slowly push the tile into the rotating diamond blade, ensuring water flows to keep the blade cool. So I have the videos. I will show you the videos how to cut in with saw.
Berdini, Ace's home expert, and in this video we're going to show you how to use a wet saw when you're cutting tile or stone. So this is a Craftsman cordless wet saw, and it's a 7-inch, and so if you come in and see this blade right here, it's a 7-inch blade, but that means that this is the cutting surface you have from the top of the blade to the deck right here. This is where you're going to actually slide the saw back and forth, the material that you're going to be cutting. So whether it's a piece of ceramic like this that we would come across here to help cut, you can see that you could do thicker material. So if you were cutting stone, say that's about 3/4 of an inch thick, this would do it as well. This blade right here is a diamond encrusted blade, which allows you to cut through hard surfaces like a tile or a piece of stone. Now, the very first thing you're going to see is what a wet saw does is there's a reservoir down inside here, and there's a plug. What we're going to do is we're going to put that plug in and tighten up this little wing nut here so that it's sealed, and then I'm going to pour water inside here. This water is what the blade is going to spin through, and it's going to keep this blade cold while we do the cutting, and it will splash a little water while we're using the saw as well. All right, on this particular tool, there's an overflow hole, so you want to make sure that you don't overfill the reservoir. You want to make sure that there's enough water in the reservoir so that when you turn the saw on, you see how it draws water up and gets that blade nice and wet to allow you to cut the tile. In this case, we're going to cut some ceramic tile. But keep in mind that when you're standing in front of this tool, you're probably going to want to wear some type of smock or apron, because you are going to get wet. It is going to spill a little water onto you, and it's something to keep in mind that you should probably put a tarp down on the floor, because you don't want to get that wet either. So in this particular application, I'm going to take this piece of ceramic tile here, and I'm not going to make any marks. I just want to show you how it works. And there are some gauges on this particular tool that if you had to cut a series of 8-inch, 7-inch, 6-inch, you could line up the stone or the tile wherever it might be. You're going to firmly hold the tile, and then almost like you're at a deli stand, once I turn this on, you're going to carefully bring this across and let the blade do all the cutting. Now, you don't want to force this. It should go very smoothly and consistently. Make sure that you're wearing safety glasses when you're doing this. When you turn the saw on, so you get a nice clean cut right there on this particular one. This saw also has a jig that you can use to cut angles or 45s, whatever it might be. So this can make your life a lot easier depending on what you're cutting. You would hold that jig in place like I'm doing right here, turn the saw on. And you can cut angles like this. a very versatile tool. It's great if you're doing a backsplash, any kind of tile project, and the fact that it's cordless means that it's portable, easy to set up, and easy to use. If you need more information, just
So next is the tile nippers, used for nibbling small pieces or creating curves. Gently use the nippers to chip away small pieces of the tile along the mark line.
Improvements.com, and today I want to show you how to use tile nippers, or some people call them tile nibblers. So these are just used if you've got some fine tuning usually to do on a tile, or maybe a small corner to break off. And they're used in combination usually with you can use it in combination, I should say, with something that'll score the tile as well. So typically, you definitely want some safety glasses on for this. Typically, maybe you want to take this little corner off here, just slightly off a little bit, maybe it's rubbing on something and it's not too particular how it looks. You can just use the nibblers, put it on the corner, kind of see like that, just squeeze it and it'll just kind of work along little by little. You can kind of get off what you need. Now if you need a little bit more than that off, you still need to work little by little, but usually what I do, if I needed maybe I need the corner off this tile but I need it to be on a certain angle, I'll score it by using a straight edge and this tool here. Just run the little wheel across there a few times and it just scores a bit of a line there. Creates a bit of a weak spot for the tile to break a little cleaner on. So it'd still be the same process though. I don't want to just go right in there at that. You can, but chances are it's not going to end well for you. So take a little by little off and work your way back to that point. Okay, so you can see I'm getting closer to that line that I had on there. And I'm taking some small pieces off on the way there. Okay, so now I'm going to basically go right to that line. See what happens here. Okay, so you can see I basically got myself worked to the line. You can probably nibble away just a little bit more at that. Clean it up just a little bit. Just about always ends up leaving you a little bit of a rough edge. Now if that's not seen, maybe it's under some trim or a cabinet or whatever, not a big deal. If it is seen, just take a grinder and clean it up a little bit, or a filing stone or something like that, and you should be good to go. So that's all I can really show you with that particular thing. But it's just a pretty inexpensive tile cutter. You're not going to use it for any major cuts. You wouldn't want to do all your cuts with that because it's going to be pretty time consuming. But for doing a few little spots like that where it's just some small corners, it's not too bad. So hopefully that helped you on any tiling project that you might have. Give you a little better idea what the different tools do. You can actually.
So that are the three types of how to cut tiles, which are the manual tile cutter, with saw, and tile nippers. So let's proceed to design example, which are the grid or straight lay. The simplest and most common pattern, the tiles arranged in straight lines. This is the example of grid or straight lay. Second is the brick or subway pattern. Tiles are laid with a horizontal or vertical half tile offset like a brick wall. And this is the example of subway tile patterns. Next is the diagonal tiles are installed at a 45-degree angle, creating a visual sense of a wider space. And this is the example of the diagonal. Next is the herringbone. Rectangular tiles are laid in a zigzag pattern, creating a stunning visual effect. And this is the example design of herringbone. And the last is mosaic borders. Use smaller tiles to create a decorative border around the room or a pattern. And this is the example of mosaic borders. So that's all. Thank you.